Prince Harry has said racism from the tabloid press in this country that filtered into the rest of society was a large part of why he and his wife left the UK. He told Oprah Winfrey that the UK tabloid media is bigoted and creates a toxic environment of control and fear. He said he thought the Prince of Wales had been forced to make peace with it. Last night's interview on ITV, by the way, was watched by more than 11 million people here in the UK. Let's talk now to Ian Murray, the Executive Director of the Society of Editors, an organisation which was set up to fight to protect press freedoms. Hello to you, Mr. Murray.
Good morning.
Are some British tabloid newspapers bigoted?
No, they're not. And what we're seeing here is the tragic story of the family of war, as we know, and your heart goes out to the Duchess in particular, talking about her mental health problems that's there. But the accusation that Harry and Meghan say that they left Britain in part because of racism towards them, but the accusation that this was caused by sections of the British media who are racist, I'm afraid is just not true, and it's not borne out by the evidence of the coverage.
Can I give you some evidence, Mr. Murray? Daily Star ran a headline asking whether Harry would be marrying into gangster royalty. The Mail Online had a headline which declared Meghan was almost straight outta Compton. Well,
I mean, Compton, I'm not au fait completely with areas of that maybe in California. But
it's a black gangster stereotype. It's a black gangster stereotype, Mr. Murray. Do you think those two headlines are racist?
Victoria, if you're not going to let me even answer you when you've asked the question, please, thank you. The question that we raised there basically is saying, look, here is I hate to use the term rags to riches story, and it was the same with anyone that comes in from outside into the royal family, royal or nobility, that they've raised up in that way. But I think you've got to look at this whole thing in the context. Is this saying that the coverage that has been given to Meghan in particular, but to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, any perceived negative coverage that has come about, and this follows a huge groundswell of positive coverage that came when Meghan was first started dating and then engaged and then married to Prince Harry. Amazing amount of positive coverage which reflected the warmth of the British people towards this couple. But then there was some negative coverage that came in when the couple began to set out their stall. I'm not going to use the word preach and talk about things close to their heart, the environment, etc., and questions being asked of are they living up to the ideals that they're putting forward. To say that negative. That is racist and particularly targeted because Meghan is a woman of colour. I'm afraid that's not borne out by the truth. You just have to look at the way that the royal family has been covered for decades. It's not as though the royal family have been given an easy ride by the British media. They have held them and others to account, and you cannot say that the coverage and the investigations into Prince Philip, Princess Anne, Edward and Sophie...
Yeah, Harry and Meghan were just talking about the coverage of themselves. Can I ask you about those headlines again? The Star asked whether Harry would be marrying into gangster royalty.
I'm not going to defend one headline.
Sorry, Mr. Murray, you just told me, excuse me, please may I speak? Please may I ask the question?
The huge amount of coverage.
Mr. Murray, you can continue talking over me, but I want
2 examples and say, look, here's something that someone might point to and say, so therefore that means that you told me,
Mr. Murray, you told me the British tabloid press was not bigoted. I've just given you some examples. You're denying that those examples are racist, and I'm asking, why are you denying that?
Well, and I'm making the plain to Victoria that what we're saying, I'm not defending individual things here and there. I'm looking at the whole thing. When you say that someone might make one comment about something, and I'm not saying whether those were bigoted or racist at all.
Well, let me ask you, as the Society of Editors...
I never get the chance to actually finish, Victoria, my point. When you actually label someone as bigoted because of one example that is disputed, and actually say, and not taking the whole thing in the context and saying, look at the way that they have covered it. I'm afraid that's the, if you keep on looking, you will find that needle in the haystack.
Right, but you just told me that the British press isn't racist, and now you're saying if you keep on looking, you will find a racist needle in the haystack. So let me ask you again, are those headlines racist? Simple yes or no?
I'm not going to stand to defend and say whether they are not. What the context is,
You're
I
a
haven't
society
got the context
of editors.
in front of me. Sorry, Victoria, you know full well, because you are a journalist, you've got to see the context.
Well, let me give you some context then, please.
Out of things, and I'm not saying whether they are or they aren't.
Well, let me give you some context then. The headline, which suggested that Meghan was almost straight out of Compton, underneath says, Prince Harry's new girl, Suits star Meghan Markle, is from Crenshaw, LA. Crenshaw has endured 47 crimes in the past week, including murder. Gangs, including the Bloods, count the neighbourhood as their territory. Markle's social worker mum, Dora Ragland, lives in the rundown area, and the actress's aunt is in a nearby gang-afflicted Inglewood. Is that racist? Are they racist stereotypes?
I'm not saying I can't say that is racist. It's a straightforward rags to riches story about saying factually, if it is factually correct, that it is, that's the background to Meghan Markle. I don't know whether it's factually correct or not.
In 2016, a report by the European Commission against racism and intolerance found that hate speech amongst traditional media, particularly tabloid newspapers in this country, continues to be a problem. Do you not see that at all?
Do I not see what at all? Do I not see that? Do I agree with their findings? That I have not read that report recently. I'm not going to say that I completely agree with their findings. I need to look further into it, but it's what they're actually basing this on.
Do you think there's a difference between someone like yourself, a white man, the Society of Editors, contemplating racism on an intellectual level, and black people experiencing it on a daily basis?
I would say that I'm not bringing my racial background into this. I would say that if I'm asked whether the last sections of the British media, the tabloid press, are racist, I would say no, they are not. And some extremely decent journalists, many of which you probably know, who work on the papers that are being pointed at, would be horrified, shocked and disappointed to have that levelled against them.
A report by the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism in 2016 found that just 6% of journalists across UK newsrooms don't identify as white. That's a problem, isn't it?
That is the problem. There's a problem throughout the whole of the industry.
And do you think that could lead to potentially racist coverage?
You're going for cause and effect. The industry,
I'm asking you,
realises and recognises that has a challenge and is taking steps, and the Society of Editors has been working on that and has been supporting and has an initiative that is working with others on that matter. No one is pretending that that is not good enough.
Do you think the lack of diversity in newsrooms might contribute to racist coverage on occasion?
I know you're trying to trap me into saying something.
I'm really not. It's a very open question.
I'm not going to say, because if I say that, it's a case of therefore you're admitting that there is that. That we do know.
It's not about admitting. It's about facing up to issues that we've got in the mainstream media in this country.
What issues that we don't have a greater diversity within newsrooms, absolutely.
And that it could potentially lead to racist coverage on occasion.
I'm not going to go so far as to say that, because you're trying to put words into my mouth with that.
I'm not.
Everyone would wish that the media in this country better reflects the diverse country that we are becoming.
Okay. I'd like to give you some more headlines and tell me what you think is going on here. This is from the Daily Mail. Kate, not long to go now, pregnant Kate tenderly cradles her baby bump while wrapping up her royal duties ahead of maternity leave. Again from the Daily Mail. Why can't Meghan Markle keep her hands off her baby bump? Is it price, vanity, acting, or a new age bonding technique? This from the Daily Express. Kate's morning sickness cure? Prince William gifted with an avocado for pregnant Duchess. Again from the Daily Express. Meghan Markle's beloved avocado linked to human rights abuses and drought. And one more, again from the Daily Mail. Carol wins granny war. Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will spend second private Christmas with the Middleton family rather than joining the Queen at Sandringham. In the Daily Mail, doesn't the Queen deserve better than this baffling festive absence? Richard Kay examines the impact of Harry and Meghan's decision not to spend Christmas with the royal family. What's going on there, do you think?
That's going on there, reporting as individual stories, and I can't comment and take them out of context there, but I don't see anything. But what we're discussing here is whether there is racism in the coverage, and I see no evidence of racism in that coverage. And it's unfair, it's sort of you to put me on the spot with bringing up headlines out of context. I don't know what the stories are, and I'm not going to defend
You're the Society of Editors.
Stories.
You represent your members. That's why I thought you were coming on to talk to us today. What, if not insidious racism, are those headlines about? One talking about a white woman, one talking about a woman of mixed heritage.
I'm afraid you're conflating those two issues, and I'm afraid that's not the case at all. These are straightforward coverage of news items. Some people say they aren't really news items, talking about avocados, but they are talking about items. There is no racism involved.
Could you be in complete denial?
I think I've been in the industry long enough to know that I would not feel comfortable sitting here if I believed there was racism systemic throughout sections of the industry. It's simply not the case.
Why do you think the White Duchess is written about in a positive way, but the woman of mixed heritage is written about in a negative way?
I think that Kate's not always received positive coverage. I don't think that's the case, and I think it's quite a simple case, as I tried to explain at the beginning, that it doesn't matter who it is. If someone in the royal family or anyone in the public eye or push themselves forward who actually proposes to live certain lifestyles and then doesn't live up to those ideals, then they're going to find that they've got negative press.
Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Ian Murray, who is the Executive Editor of the Society of Editors. Your views welcome. You can send me an email, victoria@bbc.co.uk, or you can message me on Twitter or Instagram.